talked to a student recently at one of our woke college campuses who said she is required in every class to introduce herself and to give her pronouns. Well, I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is a special Sunday night live edition on Thursday. It's kind of like Thursday night football. Hey, welcome back, folks. It is going to be one heck of a show, but I got to tell you, I am physically and mentally exhausted, drained, tired, everything else. The reason I'm doing this show tonight is I'm going to be taking the next week off. I got a great offer to go enjoy some relaxing downtime. It does not mean I'm dead. It doesn't mean I'm going to wake up in RMZ 2.0, but I'm definitely going to get some rest. So I wanted to visit with you guys tonight. I want to do live with YouTube, thepreparedmind.club, and Subscribestar. Jolene will be putting up oldies but goodies and things that she thinks fit into the moment of the day. But for me, I'm going to take a little break because I just know it, that it's going to get really nasty and it's going to be even more draining. So I'm going to go charge the batteries. Now, for the time being, for the next hour until we're done with Super Chats, we're going to do Super Chats tonight for questions, unless something strikes Uman's fancy. And I said, let's just get crazy. Whatever happens, happens. But $50 Super Chats or more does a brand new Glenn Levitt 15 buy. All right, now, it's your show. You get to pick what you want to talk about, or I'll pick what we want to talk about. And there's a lot of topics that are coming up. Conspiracy theory. Now, this is amazing. Understand that the bridge in Baltimore, the mainstream media, government officials are now starting to say anyone, if they have an idea that is separate, different than their official story, then it's a conspiracy theory. Now remember, if you will, that going back before the bridge crash, for 2 months, Christopher Wray of the FBI and other notable and some not so notable government bureaucrats, officials, if you will, they're an official. They're officially official. They've been saying that, well, we have a big threat of cyber attack. We have a big threat of cyber attack. We have a big threat of cyber attack. The threat of cyber attack is big. We need to be ready for a cyber attack. And then when people start going, wait, this looks like a cyber attack to me, they're like, no, you stupid conspiracy theorists. Anyways, along those lines, scientists have now come out and warned that the bird flu pandemic could be, quote, 100 times worse than cerveza bug 19. That's right, folks. COVID-19, this bird flu is going to be 100 times worse. Well, I didn't know COVID-19 had anything to do with chickens. But here we are, folks. Well, fuck, why not claim 1 million times worse? Not just 100 times worse, 1 million times worse. Why not claim 100 million times worse? Why not just change the facts and claim that cerveza bug killed 5 billion Americans and 10 billion children? Why don't they just make shit up on the fly? Because it's science. That's right. A scientist, not one, but many, are warning about this bird flu pandemic. It's not an epidemic. It's a pandemic, meaning it's worldwide. And they accuse us of fear porn. They accuse us of being conspiracy theorists, tinfoil hat wearing white supremacists, even if you're black. That's what they like, folks. That's the story they want to tell. They want to just make shit up. And if you question them, you, folks, are the bad guys. You're the bad guys. It is unbelievable. Now, I mean, unbelievable. Wait till you hear what I have to talk about next. By the way, hit the thumbs up. Do it now. And we're at 100 people live, so share that internet address. This show is for everybody tonight. It is free on YouTube for everyone. Fuck it. Who cares? Let's do it. Let's get it on. This government, right? You're a conspiracy theorist. You're a right-wing, a deplorable, not to be confused with a deplorable, like we have here, right? The deplorable coffee. That's right. What a great coffee cup that one is. In any event, the government in Washington, D.C. is proving itself to be incredibly dangerous. That's right, folks. Now, the Department of Justice, which is Merrick Garland, the Attorney General's office, and of course, Joe Biden. They're all part of the Department of Justice, folks. They're all underneath Biden. They are seeking prison time, folks. But the action, let me tell you what the action was. A woman found a diary, and that diary was once owned by Ashley Biden. And within that diary, there was a revelation. And that revelation was Joe Biden, President of the United States, that perverted guy and his perverted acts that were done with his daughter. So the Department of Justice wants prison time because you found out the truth. They're punishing freedom, folks. They're punishing freedom and rights, and it's becoming commonplace. I'm not making shit up. I'm not saying a comet is going to come down, smack the moon, crack it in two, send cosmic rays over all of us so that we start growing 6 arms out of our ass. I'm not making this shit up. What I bring to you guys is real and I think pertinent to what's going on. Punishing freedom is becoming commonplace. And, we all, folks, need to stand up and scream and yell and say, hey, DC, go fuck yourselves. How's that for freedom? This is what we got, though, folks. A government out of control. They are panicking right now. Panicking. They're afraid. What do you want to talk about, folks? Hit that super chat button right up there, and let's get it on. We got Bioxo77 with a great super chat donation, $4.99. And he says, so if a bird flew over a nest 100 times worse, so 0.004% effects instead of 0.002. Yeah, that's just it. Yeah. And I think your number might be a little high there. You're being a little generous with the death number. But yeah, it's 100 times worse or 10 times worse or 100% worse. Whatever their story is, it's crap. And as soon as they say, I'm a scientist, I'm thinking to myself, you're an idiot. Now, they didn't say 100% worse. They said 100 times worse. So you've got to take 2 zeros. It's supposed to be 0.2%. 0.2% deadly. Yeah, that's 100 times. Wow. It's hard to figure out, though, when you're dealing with such infinitesimally small percentages of people that were genuinely killed by cerveza bug. I think more people were killed by government action in hospitals, putting people on incubators, pretty much a death sentence. Locking up people in their homes and saying, you can't go to the hospital. For the people that need to go to a hospital, pretty much a death sentence. Crash on your tricycle, no medical help for you, you're dead, must have been COVID. Choke on a hot dog, can't get to the hospital, died, must have been COVID. Just unfucking believable. Seriously, folks. But here we are, 2024. The further we go into the future, it's amazing the more retarded the political left becomes and the more militant they become. It's going to be high time, folks. All of the pink, green, blue, red hairs out there, it's time to get it on. It's time to get it on. These left-wing fruitcakes, folks, they're everywhere. In fact, thank you, Bianxo, very much. Yeah, COVID was a sham from the beginning. It's still a sham. The Jim Jones juice was a lie. It's still a lie. And to compare anything to it and say, oh my God, it's going to be worse. Worse than what? The government is going to make it worse? Because the virus didn't make it any worse. In fact, even with all of the efforts of the government taking things to the extreme, calling everything a cerveza bug death, doing all they can to just kill people left and right, they still, folks, had the death rate was lower for it than the common flu. Interesting stuff. All righty. Oops, sorry. My fault. I hit a button there. Look, these people are retarded. And I want to give you an example. And I would like your feedback here. I would like some feedback on this. In Canada, a man has signed up to get free vaginoplasty. That's a real word, apparently, vaginoplasty. Right? If you want to go to the hospital for an injury or to get a checkup or run some tests in Canada, you're waiting 6, 9, 12, 18 months. You want to get your dick cut off and turned into a vagina? No problem. Well, this guy's mad. He is in a legal battle. You don't want to know why? Because he wants the vaginoplasty, but he wants to keep his penis attached. It's completely fucking stupid, folks, what these people are up to. They're moronic, murderous bastards who want to read their sick, perverted books to your kids. How much do we have to see before we know? How much do we have to hear before we're certain? Right? How much do we have to suffer before we take action against these absolute dregs of society and drags on our government? And when I say drags on our government, I'm talking about Washington, D.C. You want to know what? Even some of the most America-hating people hate Washington, D.C. It's funny. They hate America. Washington, D.C. hates America. Yet some groups just can't get along. Now, this is what got me when I read this headline. White House cancels annual Ramadan dinner. Not Ramalama Ding Dong, but Ramadan. In other words, the Muslim holy time. I didn't know there was an annual Ramadan dinner. I thought this was a Christian nation. Be that as it may, Ramadan dinner. Well, guess what? Muslims refuse to attend a White House invitation to have dinner with the president. Maybe Biden should, seriously, Biden is pissed off. The Muslims, they won't even come and show up there. What should he do to get back into their good graces? How can he kiss their asses so they'll vote for him? And this is what I find fascinating, folks. If they won't go to a White House dinner where they can steal White House trinkets and leave bags of Coke around the house that can be blamed on Hunter, why, right? How do they expect these Muslims, these minority groups, these fruitcakes, these special interest groups, these protected classes, they're taking away their reasons to vote for Biden? Who is excited about Biden? I tell you what, maybe he should bomb Tel Aviv. Maybe that'll make the Muslims happy and they'll come steal his, they'll come have some dinner with him. Maybe he should recite the Quran. Maybe he should do something like that. Or maybe he should declare America a Muslim dictatorship. We may as well at this point, because we're not listening to a fucking thing the Constitution says. Nope. No one seems to be paying any attention to the Constitution. The word unconstitutional is thrown around so much now, it's lost its effect. And I'm being serious. You tell someone in the government that's unconstitutional, like, so who gives a fuck? Just a constitution. All right, folks, we're closing in on 200 people live. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. If you've got something to say, hit that super chat button and we will talk about it. Man will put it down here and we'll go for it and see what it is you find fascinating. It is Thursday. It is Thursday Night Live. This is a special Zoo broadcast, folks. It's a special. I'm going to take a few days off, and before I went, I just had to say goodbye to all you guys. I'll be back. I'm not getting transported to a faraway country where I'm going to live in the frickin' jungle. Well, not permanently. Anyways, folks, speaking of law, constitutionality, you guys have heard of Alan Dershowitz, right? He was one of the defenders of O.J. Simpson back in the 90s. Remember that shit? O.J. Simpson. Well, Alan Dershowitz, he's supposed to be a constitutional scholar. He says that fat-ass Fannie Willis committed, quote, the worst crimes I've seen prosecutors commit. In other words, Alan is saying he's never seen worse crimes, bigger crimes coming from a government official who is supposed to be prosecuting crimes. Even Democrats like Dershowitz, folks, know what criminal actions look like. And he says she should be charged with perjury and witness tampering. She should be arrested, folks. But there are two tiers of justice in this government. And it's a club to make sure you get the right treatment. And you and I, we're not in that club. What do you think of fat ass Fannie? What do you think? Let me know. It's not going to get better till it gets a lot worse, folks. All right, Mr. Ooman, let's do it. Let's have some fun. Who's up next? And we've got Orlando. Hey there, brother. How's everything up north? I sure hope you're safe. And he says this with a $10 super chat donation. He says, we can't trust anything, like I told you. Just prepare for any eventuality. Pray and hope everything works out for the best. And then God bless America, Semper Fi. Thank you, Orlando. I appreciate it. Folks, Orlando, he's a good guy and quite an artist as well. But be that as it may, he's right. You can't trust anything. We can't trust anything from the government, even from Republicans, even from Republicans that we like. Now, why is that? Because they could be tricked into lying and not even know it. Right? For example, let's just look at Marge Taylor Greene. 95% of the time, she's saying things and doing things the right way. What inexcusable stupidity causes her to do stupid things like supporting Kevin McCarthy, asshole former speaker, former Republican, big mouth, who of course likes to live with his boyfriend in DC, but you know, everything's fine there. Right, Frank? Mr. Lutz? But here we are, right? So Marge Taylor Greene, then it's like, wait a minute, you know, how can I trust you when it counts if I can barely trust you when it barely counts? You know, that's really what it's going to come down to. We can't trust anyone or anything, but you can trust yourself, folks. You can trust in yourself. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. If you're prepared, you don't have to trust anyone else or anything else. Trust in yourself, trust in your faith, trust in your experience, your planning, your practicing, your skills, everything. I just know that when stuff gets nasty, and it's going to get nasty, I just know that people are going to be completely at a loss, not understanding what they're supposed to do. What they're supposed to do. Thank you, Mr. Uman. Oh, and thank you, Alan Dershowitz, for pointing out the obvious. But, you know, when a Democrat, a liberal, a big government, a statist wants to stand up and say, this has gone too far, what is that saying about the government right now? And we've had a lot of that. Would you say shit has hit the fan? Can you trust the government? Well, in Texas, folks, guess what? A National Guard member. That's right. Not Texas National Guard or Texas Guard, but Texas National Guard. Stop. Let me do that again. Not Texas Guard, but a National Guard member. Well, he's been arrested. And what did this clown do? He was smuggling illegal immigrants across the border in a government vehicle. And then he got in a high-speed chase trying to run from Texas law enforcement. Texas law enforcement. Well, bam, right? Texas law says that's a no-go. This guy was trying to smuggle in as if we don't have enough illegals here. And I think that all illegals should be arrested and tossed over the border. In fact, I think that this National Guardsman, he's like 26, 27. He should be arrested. Well, he's already been arrested. He should be tried, given a great trial, and then thrown over the border wall back into Mexico with everyone else. And then say, there, you think illegal immigration is good? Give it a shot. You hate America? Go live somewhere else. I think that would fit really, really well. That would work perfectly, in my opinion. Woo! What do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? Hit the thumbs up. Share the internet address. It's right up there. Right up there. And if you want to talk, you have something to say, we got a super chat button right up there, and Venmo and PayPal. Let's see what's on your mind. What's on your mind? Folks, the violence coming out of these people on the left, it's becoming outrageous. And then the pandering is outrageous. And the length at which the left goes to excuse itself is outrageous. And I'd like to share this story with you because I think it makes the point. There's an ex-cop named Ray Felix. In front of his own children, after kidnapping his estranged white wife who wanted a divorce, he shoots her. And on top of all this is insanity of that, right? She's a school teacher. I think he shot himself as well. But the media wants to label him a victim of what? White supremacy. How is that even an excuse for murder? Right? You kill your estranged wife in front of your children and then kill yourself. Oh, it must have been white supremacy that did that. White supremacy made the gun and the ammunition. The white supremacy put the gun in his hand. White supremacy put some shit in his head, made him weird, and he ended up killing his wife. You see, the media will go to all lengths to excuse anyone that falls under their protective umbrella of insanity. Insanity, folks. Can you find another word to describe it? Crazy. Crazy. I mean, the insanity is absolutely crazy. Now, they interrogated a man. Man was involved in the National Doral Resort shooting. And it was way back. And this interrogation video was from 2018, folks. And it's just now surfacing. It seems that P. Diddy, folks, has been playing some, P. Dummy games for a long time. He's been on the radar with law enforcement. You see in this interrogation video, the man who was involved in the shooting at the National Doral Resort, he says that P. Diddy's gay and that he was one of P. Diddy's sex slaves. So this, once again, the media is insane, but the media also doesn't realize that we can do our own research, and that the same person who is involved with P. Diddy and his parties, I guess presumably where a gay sex slave would be part of their little game. I believe this big friend who put together parties for P. Diddy also did the same for Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is allegedly tied in with the same people, and it's all starting to come out. I mean, does P in P. Diddy stand for pecker or penis or penitentiary? And then gay. I couldn't give a shit if P. Diddy is gay. In fact, to the Democrats, why should they care? Isn't being gay a Democrat badge of honor? Or rather, a vag of honor? So Penis Diddy is having everyone roll over on him. Police are releasing video of somebody claiming he's a giant criminal. If that's the case, why didn't they investigate and arrest P. Diddy in 2018? When some criminal guy says, hey, I was one of P. Diddy's butt prisoners. Have you noticed something? Have you noticed that Hollywood, the music industry, the entertainment industry, news industry, opinion industry, newspaper industry, they are all a bunch of sick bastards. Have you noticed? I can't help but notice every time I turn around, folks. Every single time. Every single time they make shit up. They claim someone's a victim when they're not. They don't like stories being good that they don't agree with. Oh, by the way, we're at 200 people live right now. 200 people live. Thank you very much. Let's grow the crowd on this, Thursday evening. Hit it with a thumbs up. Hit it. Share that internet address. Let's see. You can do text, email, carrier pigeon, tape the note on the back of a turtle, and send it to your friend's house. Anyway, speaking of these crazy people on the left, a liberal ding-dong, dingbat journalist threw an anti-white tantrum because Caitlin Clark, a white woman, has been extremely successful in the world of women's basketball. And they don't like the fact that Caitlin Clark, they're furious over it. They're pissed off that she's getting good press coverage compared to, black players in women's basketball. Now, the funny thing is when it comes to women's professional basketball, no one cares. No one watches. No one gives a shit. In fact, the money they make comes from the NBA, which pays money down to them because their basketball sucks. Women's basketball is exceptionally boring. It's a good sport. It's great exercise. Fine if you like women's basketball, but the evidence not only suggests, but I think provides a conclusion that women's basketball is not worth watching. That said, Caitlin Clark has sold more tickets and garnered more interest and could actually make women's basketball a sport worth watching because of her talents. But journalism will kill that if they get a chance. Isn't that amazing? It used to be they wanted women to succeed. Now they couldn't give a fuck about women. It's about race or about whether or not you've cut your own dick off, because they'll proudly proclaim a man who has cut his dick off or at least done a weenie tuck going to claim that those are women and prefer them over women. In fact, men are now stealing women's roles in television and in entertainment and movies because they're playing women better than I guess women can play women. Now, I know all you women on this channel, I know you are not really proud of this shit and you don't like it. And it makes you sick. It makes you want to puke. But for the most part, women out there are not rejecting this. Riley Gaines is fighting it. Lots of people are fighting this ridiculous notion that men are women just because they say they are. Unfucking believable. But yeah, it's incredible, folks. All the way to the most powerful powerful man on the planet, President Biden. Even the White House hates women and straight people. All right, Mr. Ooman, we've got a super chat donation. Who do we have? Who wants to step up? And it is Frank Rizzo with a 1999 super chat donation. So he's got his comment up here. That's how the game works. And he says, Gateway Pundit, April 2nd, article about the super vaxxed and what's to come. I know what you're talking about, Frank, because that article was carried in a lot of different places. What they're talking about is the, Ooman, help me remember the words. There's going to be a tsunami, a tsunami of death by those who are super vaxxed, heavily vaxxed, extra vaxxed, people who've gotten boosted and then reboosted, that there is a tidal wave, a tsunami of death. And they said it's imminent. Now, what I said is, well, who is this guy? Well, he's a Dutch virologist. And, well, he's supposed to be famous. Well, O.J. Simpson was famous, but not for good reasons. Anyways, is this guy correct? Is he right? That's a great question. We don't know because it hasn't happened yet. What we do have are a lot of deaths that are sudden, a lot of deaths that are unexpected, a lot of deaths that happen to, well, people in the prime of life, people in great, fantastic shape, people who are super athletes. These deaths are happening to people who are young, and even children, all the way down to infants who are dying of heart attacks and strokes and neurological disorders. Thank you very much, Frank Rizzo, for the great super chat donation, for bringing that topic back up, because it bears repeating. I don't know if there's going to be a tsunami of death. I just know that when you light the fuse on a bomb, eventually that fuse will burn, whether it be fast or slow. And eventually the bomb goes off, whether it craters half the planet or just fucks things up really bad and scares everyone. That's what we've got. Now, along these lines, I want to bring up this. Darcy T sent me another one. Take a wild guess, folks. Take a wild guess. And you tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. I've got a death here, and it is both sudden and unexpected. Now, the person who died is age 60. So, yeah, people always die in their 60s, their 70s, their 80s, their 90s. People die in their 50s and their 40s even. But this guy was a star in a show called The Last Kingdom. And he suddenly and unexpectedly kicked the bucket. Now, he's not a young athlete. He's not a super athlete. But this sudden and unexpected falls right under the modus operandi of the Jim Jones juice. Now, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to tell you right now, the jackass who runs BlackRock, the world's largest investment firm, BlackRock, he came out today and he made a stunning comment about age and health and longevity. And he said, hey, Social Security, getting that in your 60s, we need to get away from that. It's too crazy. People are living way too long to be giving them Social Security in their 60s. I tell you what, folks, it's getting fucking stupid and stupid and stupid. If I were to take my money from the time I started working, and instead of paying into Social Security, which the government does not put in a locked box, they put it in the general fund and spend it instantly. Fuck, it was spent years ago. But if you were to take your money and just put it in the Dow Jones, put it in the S&P 500, and let it sit there as you work from age 20 to age 65, in 45 years, you would have enough money to retire very, very comfortably. And it would be your money. Instead, folks, Americans don't put money into the stock market. They don't invest in themselves. They invest in government lies. Government lies. That lie is, well, we'll take your money and we'll give it back to you later. We'll just let you know when and how much you get. But if they're saying, and they're trying to use this BlackRock CEO asshole, and I call him that because that's what I think of him, Mr. BlackRock, if he's saying people are living far too long, shouldn't retire in the 60s, they shouldn't be allowed, then why is it that Adrian Schiller died at age 60? Right? And folks, understand, when they first came out with Social Security that you could get at age 63, I think the average lifespan of a man was age 60. So yeah, most men, the average man would die before he even had a fucking chance to get Social Security. And that was part of the gambling system they had. Well, people are living too long, man. So that's why they need the Jim Jones juice to put an end to that shit. Men be dying early, and women too. It is an equal opportunity, equal opportunity toxin. It attacks men and women. It attacks, well, Asians and blacks, and Caucasians and whites and indigenous peoples everywhere. Yeah, it kills everybody. Everybody. Now, the system's jacked up. It's completely jacked up. You've got to be aware of it. Got to be aware of it. And I'm sure you are. I know you have. We talk about it every day, but the moronic ignorance is just leaps and bounds. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, if you've got something that you think just points this out, demonstrates it beyond a shadow of a doubt, I'd like to hear it. Now, I've got something that is absolutely disgusting and ironic at the same time. And that's having to do with Nebraska, folks. Nebraska is changing the rules just months before an election. And the Democrats are throwing a fucking fit about it. How dare you change the rules just months before an election? Well, isn't that exactly what these dumb bastards did in 2020? Well, we need to let people vote by mail. After everyone can do absentee ballot. Everyone, right? It's the only way to do it. You can go out and have ballot mules and people can collect ballots from other people. We don't need to check signatures. No. It's funny how Democrats always act like they are cheated, as if they're being cheated, right? When they're the ones doing the fucking cheating. I mean, just ask Biden about the fraud. Ask Biden about the fraud. He'll tell you.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. Voter fraud. We have put together voter fraud.
He did. Voter fraud. His voter fraud organization is the most extensive ever. But when they try stopping it, they say, you're changing the rules. No, we just want fair elections. You lying sacks of cheating shit. Crazy stuff, folks. Crazy world. But it keeps getting crazier. And people are getting more and more angry. And I don't know whether to cheer this on or be concerned and lock and load. There is now outrage. Outrage. People are getting angry. Their anger is boiling over. We've seen evidence of it at school board meetings. We've seen evidence of it at City Hall, at the either the county supervisor level or city hall, where the public can come in and address councilmen, city council. And I tell you what, I have absolutely had it with this idea of democracy. It's just shit. It does not work. Anyways, in Illinois, Dolton, Illinois, the town hall there had chaos just erupt. The residents of Dolton, Illinois, folks, they are incredibly pissed, and they're saying that their mayor there is the worst mayor in America. And people are outraged and sick of the corruption, the theft, the in-your-face criminality. Now, I say from Trudeau, as an example, at the very top of governments, to mayors at the bottom, at the very local level, we're seeing how socialism is infuriating the masses, because socialism is corrupt as a system in and of itself. What do you think? Am I wrong? Am I right? What's your opinion? Is America getting madder and madder to the point that they're going to fight to be free again? And to tell government, you're not arresting us, you're not stopping us, you're not going to tax us, you will not take our property, you won't shut the planet down because you're not getting your way. And doesn't it feel like that? The government's like, look, if you guys don't do as you're told, we're going to turn out the lights. If you don't do as you're told, we're going to take away your food. If you don't do as you're told, we're going to cut the gasoline supply. That's what they seem like, are very bad and abusive parents. That's how they act. Oh, you don't want to do as you're told? I'm going to give you more lockdown. Remember when that bitch of a governor in Michigan? Oh, and she's a fucking bitch. Whitmore. Oh, I can't tell you how I would like to see about 1 million cockroaches dumped on her head. Provided, it's not illegal. Anyways, from the top to the bottom, people have had it. We've got 250 people live right now. Not bad for a Thursday night. Not bad for short notice. Not bad at all, folks. Share that internet address. Be sure and hit thumbs up. If you've got something to say, a comment, question, hit that super chat button and we'll get you your comment, thought right here on the screen. I'm going to go an hour tonight. I'll go a little longer if need be. I will. But the outrage, folks, it is real. It is absolutely real. In fact, folks, get this. One of Trump's lawyers, his name is John Eastman. He has now been disbarred. And what did he do? He challenged the 2020 election results. So how is it that challenging a Democrat is something that will get you disbarred? Now, nobody has a right to be on the bar, folks. It is a private club. That is correct. Being a lawyer means you're part of a private club. It is not a government organization. Isn't that interesting how lawyers have a private organization? A private organization with their own private rules. And if you go to court, you have members of the private organization with their own private rules, speaking in words that no one else seems to understand. And they tell us what's right and wrong? Fucking lawyers. Now, this lawyer, John Eastman, happens to be a Republican. So how dare you, sir? Right? You're going to lose your license. And what this says to me, and it's just important from an SHTF standpoint, is if a lawyer can lose his license because he challenged a stolen, fraudulent election that even the President of the United States says is a comprehensive voter fraud organization. Think about a social credit score system and the risk it plays towards your freedom. Right? John Eastman, by challenging, using his First Amendment right to challenge an election, which is our right. In fact, all around the world, folks, elections are contested all the time, not just America. And it's not abused in America. It's used everywhere. There are rules in place for challenging an election. That's why they have election observers. So they have witnesses. That's why they have election rules. So we know what rules we're playing by. So when someone breaks them, it's easy to identify by using witnesses so that if someone challenges an election, they can say there's evidence right there. In fact, Hillary Clinton and dozens and dozens and dozens of Democrats in 2016, after she lost to Trump, were all over the news, radio, satellite TV, and internet complaining, screaming and yelling and even crying, shedding tears, saying that the election was stolen from Hillary. None of them lost their law licenses. None of them lost their jobs. But if you violate the social standards that some third world chicken shit minded fool, like an attorney, they're going to be put in charge of this social credit score. Right now, my social credit score with you guys is probably pretty high. But if you brought a Democrat in here and said, I want you to listen to John for 1 hour, tell me what you think of that guy. See, tell me what his score is, right? It'd be absolutely at the bottom, right? I'd have like no points. Person would be like, that guy needs to be locked up, right? Good thing we have this social credit score so we can take his money and hide it from him. We can punish him and not allow him to travel or exercise his rights by everybody denying him services, right? That's coming. They want to do that. You know what I say? Fuck you, Democrats. It'll be an interesting day when I walk into a store or a bar and they say, oh, we see that it's you, John. And that means we're going to deny you service. I think that'll be a hell of a day. Yes, it does, folks. That would be one hell of a shit hitting the fan day. And speaking of that, all right, we're climbing our way towards 300 people live on a Thursday evening. And talking about shit hitting the fan, folks, in San Francisco. I left my heart in San Francisco. I didn't leave anything in San Francisco. Anyways, what they are leaving is shit on the streets. That's right, folks. San Franciscans are continuing to complain again and again, louder and louder, more and more. They are skyrocketing in complaints because of the feces that has been dumped on the sidewalk. Even though San Francisco is spending millions on public restrooms and porta potties, trying to make it easy for these homeless, mentally ill Democrats. And they're Democrats, folks. You won't see one conservative, Republican, homeless person shitting on the streets. I'm sure that if a Republican loses everything and ends up on the streets, they're probably going to find bathrooms to use. But it is the mentally deranged Democrats. They'll just drop their trousers wherever they're at and take a crap. Hey, and if they're lucky, there'll be a needle laying in the gutter and they can shoot themselves up with drugs that the cities have been buying them. For years and years, cities have been making it easier and easier for people hooked on drugs. They should be hooked on phonics. There should be plans to educate and get these people on their feet and back into paying taxes rather than costing the taxpayer. It's unbelievable, folks. The left, they are insane. Absolutely. And I do want to thank you guys for the great support you've shown the channel and you've shown me. I will be heading out for a week and I'll be back. And when I get back, you'll know it. You'll know it. It'll be after April 8th. And that has nothing to do with me taking what I would like to call a well-deserved discount vacation. April 8th, we have the we have that eclipse, man. It's coming. That eclipse is coming, and And people are now upset. They've gone out and they bought special glasses so they can view the eclipse. People are planning on traveling hundreds of miles so they can go see the eclipse. And there's supposed to be a lot of clouds. And so people are very mad. Now they're getting mad. Like, there's a stupid eclipse is coming and we can't even go see it. And it's going to be hidden. Well, I guess that's better than dying. Because, well, we all know when eclipse comes, people die. Crazy stuff, folks. I'll tell you what. Some things you can really count on. Natural events bring out wackos everywhere. And unnatural events bring out wackos everywhere. Looks like we got a common thread here. It's the wackos. Italian hillbilly checks in and he says, I just got my milk, eggs, and cheese for the eclipse. You know, because apocalypse and stuff. Thank you, Italian hillbilly. That's Kaz, formerly known as Fifth Dimension. And the big question, Kaz, is your cheese government cheese? And is your butter government butter? I find it fascinating that they had that program where they had stockpiles of cheese, folks, literal fucking stockpiles of butter and other staples and food that the government just handed out throughout the 1980s. We'd come home from school and there'd be a box of fucking government cheese on the front porch. They'd come in big giant slabs, like a 2 or a 4 or 5 pound slab of cheese. It was some rough stuff, man. Rough stuff. Speaking of rough, like I know that you guys could talk circles around Democrats. I know we do it all the time, right? But even a left wing, and he's left wing, folks, Stephen Smith of ESPN, he's a Democrat, but he just pointed out and lit up Hillary Rodham Clinton. He was live on CNN and he let her have it because she told voters, get over yourself and to just go vote for Biden. Now, to me, that does not sound like a campaign slogan. Just get over yourself. This is Hillary Clinton. This is how bitchy and rude and elite and snobby and effete and just a dumb bitch. Get over yourself. Vote for Biden. Well, Stephen Smith tried pointing out that you need to learn to communicate with people and give them a reason to vote for you, right? Be believable, a couple other things. You need to address people on a more personal level. He just basically slammed her for being a PR nightmare. She is, folks, a public relations nightmare. And then she turned around and insulted Trump and said he has 91 felony counts against him. Well, I have a question for you, Hillary. How many felony counts should there be against you? How many murder accounts should you be charged with? Money laundering, insider trading, bribery, extortion, racketeering. How many felony counts should Hillary be charged with for possession of child porn, abusing children, kidnapping children? I don't know. I'm asking her, how many? How many should Hillary have? She is truly, folks, a very, very nasty Jezebel. And I've been wanting to say that and call her that for quite some time. Folks, it is the Prepared Mind channel. It is a special Zoo broadcast. We've got YouTube. We've got Subscribe Star and the preparedmind.club. Everyone's here for a Zoo on a special Thursday night. Mr. Ooman, I think we've got a super chat donation. Someone has something to say, and it's Mikey G. Awesome deal. And he says, maybe Elon will laser the moon with an ad for SpaceX during the eclipse. Now, that would be fucking interesting. But I believe, get this, speaking of the moon, one of America's largest military industrial complex contractors, I think it's Pratt and Whitney, have been awarded a contract to build a railroad on the moon. They've been awarded a contract to build a railroad on the moon. Nobody has landed a man on the moon except for, well, the United States government claims they did it. Even though all of the evidence we have of moon landings is fraught with, just filled with inconsistencies and scientific anomalies that point to a staged, faked series of moon landings. And no other country has ever gotten anyone past the Van Allen radiation belts. But for some reason, the United States government is ready to award a military contractor the contract to build a railroad on the moon. Wow. That's a good one, Mikey G. I think the laser SpaceX, right? Twitter X, whatever, to put that on the moon when everyone's looking at it would be pretty much funny. Pretty much. Anyways, Mr. Uman, who else we got? We've got, hey, don't do that, with a 556 super chat donation. 556, folks, is one of my favorite numbers. And he says, hey, hope Florida and more states follow Louisiana's lead, telling the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, and the World Health Organization to fuck off, to fuck right on off, legislatively, of course. Now, that being said, I'll tell you what, hey, don't do that. When I was a kid, I went to the zoo in Fresno because I had family that lived in Fresno, and they'd take me to the zoo. There was a gorilla/monkey, looks very similar to yours over here, that literally did smoke cigarettes. It was quite interesting how they taught a monkey to smoke cigarettes, a gorilla. Anyways, Louisiana decided to say, look, if you're with the UN, the World Health Organization, or the World Economic Forum, or any other group is going to have no influence or right or say or any policy or anything to do with anyone inside the state of Louisiana, and they will not follow any rules, regulations, restrictions, or anything that violates Louisiana state's rights or the people's rights there. And yeah, Florida, Texas, they need to be next and pass legislation saying, fuck you. And it needs to also be said legislatively to Washington, D.C. They need to say, this is the 10th Amendment. Any authority not directly granted to you in D.C. is reserved to the states and the people, respectively. And so any of your laws don't matter. You don't have a right to tell people what to do. You have the authority to print coin and deliver mail and a couple other things, have a national defense, and that's about it. That is about it. Everything else belongs to the states. Folks, the United States government isn't over all of the 50 states. It is a separate, distinct body. It's not a state. DC is not a state, and it's not the super state. It's not the special state. It's not the all-powerful state. It's not the smart state. That's for fucking sure. But they want to make your life a living hell, and they're doing it. And they're encouraging death and destruction to come to all of us. So the question I have for you is, are you prepared? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. Get it together, folks. Get it together and be ready for what's coming. I'm going to get my batteries recharged, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Between now and then, Jolene will take care of you. Uman will take care of you. If something crazy happens, they both know how to come online on the Prepared Mind channel, and they have full permission and authority to relay to you news through posts, through the preparedmind.club, through shorts, through video presentations, etc. It's not about me, folks. I'm just the guy sitting here talking to you. Chance favors. the prepared mind is yours. Godspeed. Semper Fi. I'll see you guys very, very soon.